Have you ever had the feeling like you're peaceful and still for a moment, and your mind will create some chaos to interrupt that? So, if you're just sitting there and nothing's going on, nothing negative, just feeling okay, and then your mind will disrupt that with something negative, like it'll bring you into an emotional flashback, or it will just create some kind of turmoil in your mind to stop you from achieving that peace. And I always thought this was just waiting for the other shoe to drop, like that feeling that if I allow myself to be peaceful, I'm not defending myself against something negative that might happen. And there is a part of that, where our inner child is protecting us by destroying our peace. So, the inner child often protects us through self sabotage, interestingly enough, because it's thinking in the moment how to keep you safe right now instead of thinking about your long term peace or your long term goals, etc. So, thinking back to childhood, if you had a chaotic childhood where peaceful moments might have been few and far between, and where if you allowed yourself to feel peace, you might quickly be thrown into some trauma or some traumatic experience, then your inner child is going to see that peace as you having your defenses down, as you being unprotected. So it's going to rush in to try and save you, so to speak, by guarding you against what might happen. The experience is if I'm peaceful, something bad is around the corner. So let's protect ourselves by preparing for that. And in that, we rarely get to experience peace, or it's always very short lived. And there is that. But what I'm referring to is something different. And it's described this way. Just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast by a woman who is a survivor, recovering or recovered from childhood sexual abuse. And she said before she recovered, she would always have to be busy doing something because she felt that if she ever stopped or if she ever let her mind be at rest, that she felt like she didn't exist. So it wasn't the feeling of fear or defensiveness that I was talking about. It was a literal feeling of ceasing to exist, like she wasn't there. And that's more what I'm referring to. And I learned about this in a training by Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps the Score, the very influential book about how trauma gets stored in the body. And that's why we can't talk ourselves out of it. We experience it in the body, not in the mind. It's not a logical thing that we can just get out of with pep talks or what have you. And he said that scans of people who have been traumatized, so here we're talking about childhood trauma, shows that the way they self reflect is very different. So it showed that if their mind is at rest, that they do feel as if they don't exist, or they feel like the self is not there, that they are just not present. It can feel different for different people, I'm sure, but that sense that you're kind of disappearing if you don't have some turmoil in your mind. So, quite literally, what happens is to stop this void or to stop feeling as if we are ceasing to exist, the mind jumps in, the trauma brain, I guess, jumps in with trauma. So it throws you into a state of trauma so that you can feel like you are alive. So, in a quite literal sense, you don't feel like you exist unless you are in a traumatized state. And you can let that sink in a little bit. And it's helpful to explain why you might have sabotaged yourself in this way. Like, can you think of, like I can, how many times you were just sitting there with nothing to do? You should have been able to just relax, but your mind will not let you. It will not let you. And this probably has had implications for others, like people in your family. Perhaps you've created drama in order to have that feeling of existing again. And it really is a fight for your life. You know, your brain is in survival mode and it wants to keep you alive, and this is the way it does it. So I just brought that to you because it is something relatively new that I have learned, that this throwing ourselves into turmoil is even more than just not wanting the other shoe to drop. It is actually a sense that we are not here if we are not in a state of trauma. So I hope that just knowing that, I really believe that self understanding is the first step to recovery. And I hope that just knowing that can help you understand why you do what you do a little bit more, and how much you've been up against in order for you to forgive yourself for that, and perhaps take steps to do it differently the next time. And we can find ways to relax. We can enjoy that peace and that calm that we deserve, frankly. And it just takes some time and, seeking out support to find the ways to just help our brain recover and to take it out of that survival mode and become more of a friend to ourselves, be on our own side instead of in our own way. So I hope that helps a little bit. And just, you know, giving you the things that I'm learning on my own recovery journey. And I hope it's helpful to you in some way. Thank you for listening.